Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. Have you ever had that feeling that you weren't alone, even when you were? I'm not talking about paranoia or shadows in the dark. I mean that quiet, undeniable sense that someone or something is watching over you. In a good way. Maybe it's your guardian angel. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's the spirit of a loved one who's passed on. Whatever name you give it, you know deep down this moment is more than coincidence. All right, let's set the scene here. You're alone. You're driving through the countryside of central New South Wales. The road stretches out ahead of you as you make your way toward Junie. Everything seems ordinary until it isn't.
The car stops. Look, to this day, I know I did not stop that car. And it really shook me to say, well, someone's looking after me.
That's just a glimpse of what you'll find in Ira Dawson's memoir, This Boy Will Never Make Old Bones. I just love spotlighting authors that have unique stories to tell, and I don't think we've ever met one that lived a true action adventure like Ira Dawson. Take a listen to how the book begins.
About 6 kilometers out of the town, a pea soup fog blanketed the road. It was impossible to see any farther than one white line ahead in the center of the road, and that was only possible with my head out the window. The road was familiar, as this was not my first time to travel it. As I drove slowly along, it soon became apparent that I should have reached the town by now, but there was not a light in sight. For a reason that can't be explained, I stopped the vehicle with the idea of seeing where the road went to from here. Then, out of the fog, came a bright light, and all was clear. The car had stopped just 4 meters from a level crossing, and it was a goods train that was rushing by with its whistle blowing. As the train sped by, a cold sweat came over me, and my hair felt as if it were standing up on end. What had made me stop? What was it? There was no real reason to stop there. Feeling that someone had really looked after me, I realized that, but for the grace of God, I would have been killed, and perhaps He had a plan for my life. My heart was filled with thankfulness to Him. Shortly after this experience, my wife, Myra, and I took a 9-month around-the-world trip, which also contributed to changing our life's direction.
That trip turned into a life-changing journey, full of moments you have to read to believe. Their experiences included being saved from death in Madagascar, evacuating a hospital on Solomon Island when it was held hostage by 250 armed warriors, to visiting a remote location inhabited by cannibals. Why? Well, because they invited him.
They said, would you come and visit us up in our region? Well, everyone, the local people went bonkers. You're not going up there. They're cannibals. They'll kill you and eat you. And I thought, yeah, but they're hungry.
So he went, because he felt he was being called to serve others. And maybe he was right, because he received safe passage through cannibal territory funded by the Australian government. And on the way there, he got bit on the ear by something, and thanks to his resourceful guide, his life was saved.
So anyway, he digs it out, slashes it in two, says, here, put that on your ear, and rub your ear with the juice of that, which I did. And as true as I sit here before you, within 1 minute, all my pain gone. And I was stupid enough not to turn around and find out what it was.
If you read the reviews online for this book, you'll see that they say once you start this book, you cannot put it down. And that's from the first page to the very last. And I tend to agree. Ira's life is one lived to the fullest. His stories are full of intrigue as he travels with his wife, working on various islands and uncovering the mysteries that they find there.
So it all started. We got married in 1957. We were married 66 years before She died of dementia. That's behind us. What happened in the stories? It started off, we did this world trip. And for a young couple in those days, it was a big trip. And we went by bus from Calcutta to London. That's a long way by bus.
Yes, it is. It is roughly 7,000 miles, depending on your exact path through countries like Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and Europe.
We were 70 days on the trip. And we looked at this, we looked at that, you know, as you went through the different countries. My wife said, you know, some of these places are so poor. We ought to do something to help them. I said, come on, we're not United Nations.
But that little nudge led him down a trail of experiences that are simply amazing. Like the one where the Devil Man, chief of the cannibals, tried to kill him. But in the end, he became a very dear friend.
So anyway, in the river I meet the devil chief, Silas Nicker, who's frightening. He's a real devil man. And I thought, there's nowhere I can run to though. And when he spoke, no one else spoke.
Making friends with the Devil Man was just one story, but Ira has a ton of them. There was this time when he negotiated for food to feed 12,000 people in Maleta when a cyclone hit the Solomon Islands. He lived through 2 different airplane emergencies, and the time he discovered a spice tree in Madagascar and then harvested over 21.5 kilos of cloves to help build a school there.
Cloves, one of the few countries that grow cloves, and they only yield every 5 years.
Ira will talk about all of this as a matter of fact, like it's a very practical, it's just an ordinary way of living your life, and that's just the kind of guy Ira is. I think Ira has led a wonderful life because he did it in the service of others, and that is not always easy, but as you can see, it can be very rewarding. He's now 89 years old, and you can probably hear that in his voice, but this is a man that was not expected to live past the age of 10.
When I was 4.5 years old, I developed an illness, and it was wartime, and it was very difficult to get doctors, and the doctor we did get was not very familiar with what I had and misdiagnosed it. Then finally she said, look, we don't know exactly what it is that he's got, but Mrs. Dawson, don't spend much money on him because he won't live beyond 10 years old. And my mother thought, no, I'm not going to give away that easy. And so she just loved me, and here I am now, 89.
The power of love can be very strong.
My mother said I was never going to make old bones.
But she did her best, and now you can see where the title came from. This is a fast-moving, real-life adventure that will keep you turning pages. It's packed with near-death experiences, miracles, and moments that make you stop and ask, how in the world did he survive that? I like to think his mother was, and maybe still is, watching over him. This Boy Will Never Make Old Bones is a powerful reminder that sometimes, against all odds, we do. It's available now at Amazon.com or wherever you prefer to buy books online. And that will do it for this edition of Newsgram from WebTalkRadio.com. Thanks for listening.